Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, my dear students. Today we are going to study a very important topic, which is operative delivery. In obstetrics, we do usually operative vaginal delivery and the abdominal delivery. Operative vaginal delivery is delivery of a baby vaginally using an instrument for assistance. The indications for assisted vaginal delivery. There are various indications, some are fetal indications and other are the maternal indications. Among the fetal indications, if there is any malposition, that is occipito-transverse position or the occipito-posterior position, and fetal distress. Among the maternal indications, these are maternal distress and exhaustion, prolonged second stage of labor, in nulliparous 3 hours with and 2 hours without regional anesthesia, in multiparous 2 hours with and 1 hour without regional anesthesia are considered as prolonged second stage of labor. Medical conditions of mother like cardiac disease, which is class 3 or 4 cardiac disease, hypertensive crisis, aortic valve disease with significant outflow obstruction, spinal cord injury, proliferative retinopathy or myasthenia gravis. In all these conditions, the operative vaginal delivery is indicated. The contraindications. The contraindications of operative vaginal delivery, which includes forceps and vacuum extracted deliveries, are that no forceps or vacuum extracted deliveries should be conducted before the full dilatation of the cervix. Because if you will perform the operative vaginal delivery when the cervix is not fully dilated, it may rupture or tear off the cervix and the uterus. So it is contraindicated. Ventouse should not be used in gestations of less than 34 completed weeks because of the risk of cephalohematoma and intracranial hemorrhage, face or breech presentation. What are the prerequisites? Prerequisites of any instrumental delivery, whether it is forceps or whether it is ventouse. You can remember the mnemonic 4 steps. F. Full dilatation. O. Occipito or anterior, posterior or occipito-transverse position. R. Ruptured membranes. C. Contractions are adequate and consent is given. E. Empty bladder. Experienced or trained staff. P. Pelvis of adequate size. And S. Station which should be below the ischial spine, less than 1/5 palpable per abdomen. Head is 1/5 palpable. Ventouse or vacuum. The basic premise of such instruments is that a suction cup of elastic or rigid construction is connected via tubing to a vacuum source. Recent developments have removed the need for cumbersome external suction generators and have incorporated the vacuum mechanism into handheld pumps. I will show you the pictures. You can see towards the right, it is the latest handheld vacuum, and towards left side you can see the metal cup, and with attached is the tubing, which is this tube is attached to the suction apparatus. The technique. Usually soft cups. There are soft cups and metal cups. The soft cups are used for straightforward deliveries with an occipito-anterior position. Metal cups are suitable for occipito-posterior and transverse position. So the technique is that the center of the cup should be positioned directly over the flexion point. What is the flexion point? This is located at the vertex on the sagittal suture, 3 cm anterior to the posterior fontanelle and the 6 cm posterior to the anterior fontanelle. See, you can see in this picture clearly that the you can see the rounded mark which shows the flexion point. Here we can apply the suction cup, which is 3 centimeter front of the posterior fontanelle and 6 centimeter posterior to the anterior fontanelle. The vacuum pressure is usually 0.6 and 0.8 kg per centimeter square, and then not more than that. The traction plane is at 90 degrees to the cup. Note, not more than 2 episodes of braking suction in any vacuum delivery are safe. Like 2 or 3 episodes, you have tried 2 or 3 episodes of vacuum delivery, but you are failed, then never attempt again. Maximum time from application of vacuum to delivery should ideally be less than 15 minutes. What are the complications of vacuum delivery? Among the fetal complications, there are scalp-cranial effects, which is chignon, subgaleal bleed, cephalohematoma, intracranial hemorrhage, retinal hemorrhage, cerebral irritation or asphyxia, neonatal jaundice. Maternal complications are trauma to the perineum, vagina, cervix, and hemorrhage, which can lead to life-threatening hemorrhage, and sepsis. So this is the latest vacuum cup, which is handheld, and a pump is attached to it, and you can clearly see the cup is applied 6 centimeter posterior to the anterior fontanelle or 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle. Forceps delivery. The basic forceps design consists of 2 blades with shanks are joined together at a lock, and there are handles to provide a point for traction. Here in this picture you can see how forceps are applied in case of occipito-posterior position, and on the right side you can see how forces are applied in case of the occipito-anterior position. There are various types of forceps. You can clearly see the outlet forceps, Simpson's forceps, Wrigley's forceps, which are the mid-cavity forceps. Forceps are a surgical instrument that resembles a pair of tongs. They can be used to assist the delivery of a baby as an alternative to the ventouse method. The classification, it consists of outlet forceps, low forceps, mid-cavity forceps, high forceps. The outlet forceps. Scalp is visible at the introitus without separating the labia. These are the indications when you are going to use the outlet forceps. The fetal skull has reached the pelvic floor. Sagittal suture is in the anteroposterior diameter or right occipito-anterior, right occipito-posterior, left occipito-anterior or left occipito-posterior position. Fetal head is at or on the perineum. Rotation does not exceed 45 degrees. Low forceps delivery, when the baby's head is at +2 station or lower, there is no restriction or rotation for this type of delivery. Mid-cavity forceps delivery, when the baby's head is above +2 station, there must be head engagement before it can be carried out. High forceps delivery is usually not performed in modern obstetrics practice. It is obsolete now. It would be a forceps assisted vaginal delivery performed when the baby's head is not yet engaged, and obviously it is more traumatic both for the fetus and the mother, so it is usually not practiced now. It is obsolete. The technique. Left blade is inserted before the right blade with the obstetrician's hand protecting the vaginal wall from the direct trauma. The axis of traction changes during the delivery and is guided along the J-shaped curve of the pelvis. It has been recommended that an episiotomy should be cut whenever an instrumental vaginal delivery is performed. Complications. The fetal complications of the forceps delivery are the simple skull fractures, compression distortion injuries, tearing of tentorium, rupture of bridging veins, cephalohematoma, facial nerve palsy. Maternal complications include the trauma to the lower genital tract, upper genital tract, or trauma to the urinary tract, hemorrhage, sepsis. So the comparison between ventouse and forceps. The ventouse, when compared to the forceps, is significantly more likely to fail to achieve a vaginal delivery. That is, whenever we are going to use compare the ventouse or forceps delivery, so forceps delivery is more successful rather than ventouse. The ventouse, when compared to the forceps, is significantly less likely to use of the maternal regional or general anesthesia, significant maternal, perineal and vaginal trauma, severe perineal pain at 24 hours. So there, the pain is less with ventouse as compared to the forceps. The ventouse, when compared to the forceps, is equally likely to deliver by cesarean section. That is, the failure rate is same, and the low 5-minute Apgar scores. The factors which contribute to delivery failure are inadequate initial case assessment, like the head was high, misdiagnosis of the position and attitude of the head, failure due to traction in the wrong plane, poor maternal effort with inadequate use of oxytocin to aid expulsive efforts in the second stage, failure to select the correct ventouse cup type or incorrect cup position. So next is the cesarean section. A cesarean section, also known as C-section or Caesar, is a surgical procedure in which incisions are made through a mother's abdomen and a uterus and on the uterus to deliver one or more babies. In UK, more than 21% of all babies are now delivered by cesarean section, but in our setup in Pakistan, we can see that more than 50% or 60% deliveries are conducted via cesarean section. Factors that increase the C-section rate are inadequate dating of the pregnancy or inaccurate dating of the pregnancy, fetal monitoring, macrosomia, maternal request. The indications: there are many different reasons for performing a delivery by cesarean section. The 4 major indications accounting for greater than 70% of operations are previous cesarean section, dystocia, malpresentation, suspected acute fetal compromise. Other indications include multifetal pregnancy, abruptio placenta, placenta previa, fetal distress. So no list can be truly comprehensive, and whatever the indication, the overriding principle is that whenever the risk to the mother or the fetus from vaginal delivery exceeds that from operative intervention, a cesarean section should be undertaken. The morbidity and mortality. Case fatality rate for all cesarean sections is 5 times higher than that for the vaginal delivery. Some maternal deaths following cesarean section are not attributable to the procedure itself, but to medical or obstetric disorders that lead to the decision to deliver using this approach. So basically, cesarean section is not the cause of morbidity or mortality. The conditions or indications related to that may cause morbidity or mortality. Procedure. First of all, informed consent is taken. Full informed consent must always be obtained prior to the operation. It is important to remember that no other adult may give consent for another. Where there is incapacity to consent, the doctor is expected to act in the patient's best interest. Surgical basics. The bladder should be emptied before the procedure. A left lateral tilt minimizes compression of the maternal inferior vena cava and reduces the incidence of hypotension syndrome. The skin incision. Usually penile steel incision or the low transverse incision is given on the skin. The skin and subcutaneous tissues are incised using a transverse incision 2 finger breadth above the pubic symphysis, extending from and to points lateral to the lateral margins of the abdominal rectus muscles. The infraumbilical incision or vertical incision is from the lower border of the umbilicus to the symphysis pubis and may be extended caudally towards the xiphisternum. So these are the two types of incision you can see in the picture, the vertical incision and the phalansteal incision. The phalansteal incision is less visible when healed and the pubic hair grows back, less chance of dehiscence or formation of the hernia. And the disadvantages are the less visualization of the uterus, cannot be done as quickly, which may be important in an emergency cesarean birth, cannot easily be extended to give greater operative exposure. Re-entry at a subsequent cesarean birth may require more time. The vertical advantage is that quicker to perform, better visualization of the uterus, can quickly extend upwards for greater visualization if needed, often more appropriate for obese women. Disadvantage is easily visible when healed, greater chance of dehiscence and hernia formation. The uterine incision. A lower uterine segment incision is used in over 95% of the cesarean deliveries. Classical section or the upper uterine segment incision is used when the lower uterine segment containing fibroids or dense adhesions, placenta previa, presence of a carcinoma of the cervix. So you can see in this picture on the right side, this is the classical incision, and the lower transfer incision is also shown in the uterus. What are the complications of cesarean section? Hemorrhage, bowel damage, urinary tract damage, infection and endometritis, thromboembolism and deep vein thrombosis, prolonged recovery, long-term bladder dysfunction, increased risk of the placenta previa and scar rupture in subsequent pregnancies, transient tachypnea of the newborn syndrome. So these are the a brief review of the operative deliveries, which includes the forceps deliveries, the vacuum deliveries and the cesarean deliveries. And in your clinical rotations during ward, you can get a chance to see all these procedures, and on internet you can find various helpful videos which can help you see the procedure clearly, to understand the procedure clearly. In case of any queries, you can message me on my email address given in the group. Thank you.